Now, in all the GarageBand videos that I've made, I've taken one of the instruments on GarageBand sort of a little bit for granted, but actually it's very, very intuitive and highly useful to you. Now, two disclaimers. First of all, number one, I am not connected with Apple in any way, other than having bought a few of their products. Secondly, there is no substitute for having a real drummer on your record. Really isn't any substitute at all, because they'll be listening to the song and playing for the song. Now, that said, I'm going to show you about Drummer, which is a hugely intuitive bit of kit. There are 4 ways of getting drums onto GarageBand. You can either use the loops that are there, or you can tap the drums in using the drum kit, or you can program in using the step editor, and they're all great. They all work in a very nice way. The 4th way, however, Drummer. If I just click on Acoustic Drum Kit, wait for it to load up, and then when I press play, it'll give me a drum rhythm instantly. Fine, great. Now, of course, when you open up Drummer on any other iPad or iPhone, it will default to that beat. So here's where we have to change things about a bit. You don't want your tune to sound like somebody else's. You want to ring in the changes. Now, the main thing is this little joystick here, which allows you, it's like an XY pad that allows you to set either loud or soft, complex or simple. Now, if I do that, if I set this right to the bottom, the snare drum becomes a cross stick, like instead of the full snare. And the hi-hats and the kick drum are played lower to match. Now, unlike the loops, you can vary the tempo here. If I change the tempo to, I don't know, 40, that's the slowest tempo you can have. The drums don't sound, it doesn't sound as if it's sort of having to add something from nowhere. It just sounds good, albeit at a very, very slow tempo. So if I just bring the tempo back up, maybe let's try it to 80 maybe. Now, we've got various other settings here. We've got the number of fills that you can have. Now, it's kind of decides this for you. If I just go back to the beginning and put the maximum fills on, it'll put fills, almost every bar. However, I've still got it set to quiet here, so the fills will match the dynamic level. So if I just go up a bit louder and go back to the beginning, the fill will just be a bit louder. So it's all very nice. Now, if I just take the fills down to the minimum here, it won't put any fills in at all. So there wasn't even a crash cymbal at the start. Now, these other 2 sliders here affect the complexity or the variation of what the kick and snare are doing, or what the hi-hat is doing. So if I move the hi-hat to the right, you'll hear 16th notes in this 8-note rhythm, 8 beats rhythm. And of course, those hi-hats are very slightly open. If I set it to soft, the cymbals will be held shut. So this is really what the thing that you'd expect from a real drummer. It's really intuitive, and with all of these combinations, all of these settings, really any number of combinations is possible. Now, if I just bring the hi-hat back to level 2, which is basically constant 8th notes on this particular kit, and set the thing sort of in the middle somewhere, the kick and snare, you have this variation, but the last 2 allow you to set half speed or double speed. That's really useful, really useful. So if I just play back, so your beat is going. Now, I'm going to set the bass and the snare now to be half speed. Or double. Now this is very useful, because if you're writing a song and you want the chorus. Maybe you're doing a version of Locked Out of Heaven by Bruno Mars, when in the last bit there's that sort of half-speed drum fill when he's doing half-speed drum beat when he's doing the last sort of Locked Out of Heaven. There's that half-speed drum. So this is what that's for, really. So you can have all of these different things, all of these different combinations of complexity. Now, if I just take the kick and snare down to the first one, for example, gives you really almost the simplest version of drum beat of the drums there are. If I go to number 2, all it's done is it's shifted that double bass drum. Instead of 3rd and 4th eighth notes, it's the 4th and 5th. 1, 2, 3, go, go, ga. That was on don't ga, don't ga. So you can get a nice 60s feel by having the kick drum on the 3rd and the 4th. 1, 2, ga, gum, gum. Sorry, 4th and 5th. There's 5th and 6th is the other one. So if I just you can decide between the hi-hats and the cymbals. That's kind of what you'd have in a chorus, for example. So if I just decide to switch to the cymbals halfway through, you can program up your chorus. Now, you can have any number of regions here. Say I wanted my 5 bars. I could just grab this, and then I could copy it and paste it at bar 5. Oh. There we go, and have a completely different set of parameters. So for example, at the moment I've got my basic drum beat, and then this one I'm going to use the cymbals instead of the hi-hat, so you just tap on there to light them up yellow. And maybe I'd want a tambourine as well, because you can put percussion with this. You don't need to have it as a separate track. So here's the end of the verse going into the chorus. Now, I could also opt to have it slightly louder in the chorus. So, into the chorus, etc. So you've got control, complete control over how loud that drum rhythm is going to be in your chorus. So this is a great way of putting a tune together, and I hope you'll agree it sounds very, very human indeed. Now, I'm going to go back to my main window and I'm going to put a bass line in using the bass guitar fretboard. And there's another feature of Drummer which is very clever. It actually listens to another part. So okay, so slightly overcomplicating the chorus, but the reason I've done that is so that you can hear what you can do with the drums. Now, if I go back to the drums, what I will do actually first is just to make sure that the bass is quantized to 16th notes. There we go. That was the fastest note value that I played. And then I'm going to go to the drums, and I'm going to notice there's another button down here called Follow. Now, what that does is it will allow the kick and snare to follow what you've done on the bass as a variation to the kit that you started with. This is really important because actually then the drums are almost playing for the song. So up here you can see a graphical representation of what the drums are doing. Now, if I click Unfollow, graphical representation changes a little bit. So let's listen to what's happening in the verse. Now, if I click Follow, now it may not be what you want, but then again, it might shift you onto another idea. Think, oh yeah, I'm going to have some guitar. So it's only helping. It's amazing. And then on the chorus at the moment, I've got a much more complicated bass line. Now you've got to be a bit careful if you want the drums to follow that. At the moment, they're not following. Okay, so let's see what happens if I click follow now. The bass drum there gave me a little sort of 16th note. So it has listened to that bass line, it's analysed it, and then thought, well, maybe I'll put that with it. That's amazing. That is really good. Now, other sounds. We've got Kyle at the moment, who is, tub thumping for us. Now, all of these other presets here will be just different settings of the same sort of the same drum kit. So actually, if you they're kind of all addressing the same kit. It's like having a keyboard that's got various sounds, and you can just call up voices which essentially do different things to the same overall same overall source. So if I go from Kyle now, we've got Logan. Inspired by legendary drum heroes of the past, Logan plays sparse, hard-hitting rock beats and fills on a retro-sounding kit. Let's try that one. So I've still got my bass line. I'm going to make him follow both the verse and the chorus. Oh, almost prefer that. Anyway, we've got Anders as well. Heavy grinding beats on a massive sounding kit. Well, try it. There you go. Now, in addition to this, and you can access these from the main menu as well, we have some electronic ones. Magnus. Now, the bass part that I've put in probably wouldn't match what he's going to do. But you can do anything. You can change the hi-hats to a shaker if you like. We can have combinations, you can do anything. Now, all through this, you also have some percussion loops. So all of the electronic ones are Des. Let's hear Des. Nice, some 30-second notes there, like that. And then we can have, Darcy. That was one bit. Oh, Mason. Got masses of choice, and this is on a free program, and it's that good, it's that intuitive. Yeah, nice. I quite like that actually, because it's it says tasteful, restrained and dedicated to serving the song. There we go, that's what it's about. It's serving the song. Nikki, disco, years as a DJ. Let's see what she comes up with. It's all very nice. It's all just great. Really, really good stuff. Now, we have percussion on here as well. Now, this will take away the drum kit, but you could add this on a separate track, for example. Now, as I said before, beware of sticking to the presets, because everyone else is using them and you've got to put your own spin on it. You could use this quite clearly as a drum track for a real drummer to play to, because actually they sound very human, very driving, and also when you're recording to something like that, it'll make your playing make you play a certain way, which you might like, you may not, but if you don't like playing that way, this is not pounds, not pence, not dollars, not euros, not yen, not rand, you get the picture. This is a free piece of software, and I hope you'll agree that Drummer is really rather spectacular. Now, just before I finish, those of you who want to have the swing option, there's another button at the bottom left here. Now, let's say I record my bass. Let's say I go back to my bass line, and I'm going to quantize this instead to swing eighth. So you can hear that that's changed. The bass line has changed because I wanted doon 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 doon. You can make a drummer do this. Now if I go back to here, back to Gavin now, I'll just close that down and I'm going to put swing 8th heavy. Notice it changed the track as a whole, not just because it's unlikely that you're going to change from swing to straight. You can do it. You could have 2 separate tracks on GarageBand, both drummer tracks, and you have one straight, one swing if you like. Maybe you're recording a version of A Night in Tunisia which goes from Latin to swing, which is sort of straight to swing. Anything is possible.